What's going on, Culture Crew? Today I'm going to teach you guys how to save yourself a lot of time, money, and headaches by investing into cryptocurrency. Well, not all cryptocurrencies, just Bitcoin and Ethereum for now. How you can get yourself invested in it without having to cash out your IRA or your 401k. But if you're new here, my name is Louis, and I love teaching you guys about cryptocurrency and stocks and educating you guys on how to make some money in the industry. So now let's get started. A lot of people have told me that they're thinking about cashing out their 401ks or IRAs in order to get invested into cryptocurrencies. And I'm thinking to myself, that may not be such a great idea because you're going to be incurring a lot of taxes. You have to pay a lot of penalties and taxes if you do that. But what if there was a way for you to be able to invest your 401k or IRA into the market and not have to pay any tax on it? Well, you're in luck. So today I'm going to give you guys a couple of different ways for you guys to get invested into it without having to have all that hassle. Let me give you guys some free steps first. Well, not so much free, but some things you have to do before you even get started with investing. First thing you need to do is make sure that you can transition your 401k or IRA into a self-directed. And then once you do that, then you also have to be able to send the money that's being held by the custodian to the platform of your preference. Now, I enjoy using Webull. And if you guys don't have a platform, I'll leave a link to the Webull account that I use down below in the description section, and you'll get yourself 2 free stocks by doing that. So once you're set up with that, you're gonna see the money show up in your account. Now the tough part is gonna start, which is what do you invest in, or how can you invest in Bitcoin or Ethereum with this cash? Well, you can't just go and buy it. That's one thing that you're gonna find out the hard way. You can't just buy Bitcoin and Ethereum on Webull or on Fidelity or TD Ameritrade. It's just not an allowable type of asset for you to hold. But there are some other things you can hold. So let me get started with telling you some of the other ones you can use. I got some notes so that way I don't forget, I don't leave anything out. So the reason why you can't use Bitcoin, obviously, and Ethereum, it's not an allowed asset. We know that. But what are allowed assets are trusts. One of the most well-known trusts out there is the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust, and now the Grayscale Ethereum Trust. Now, a lot of people have mixed reviews or mixed feelings about using a trust to hold your Bitcoin. Well, I'll tell you guys some of the pros and cons. Well, with Grayscale, one of the pros is that obviously you get to buy it as if you were to buy a stock. It's very easy to buy. You can just get it on one of your platforms. But the not so great thing about using Grayscale is that there is a pretty steep cost to using their services. What I mean by that is there's a 2.5% fee that you have to pay every year for having to manage your Bitcoin or Ethereum. And it doesn't seem like a lot if you're holding maybe $1,000, $2,000 worth of Ethereum, or maybe even $10,000. But what happens if Bitcoin and Ethereum go to $1 million one day? 2.5% of $1 million is a lot of money. So that may not be a good solution for the long term. And additionally to that is that you're paying a pretty big premium when you do buy cryptocurrency through them, sometimes as high as 20%. So what that means is you're actually paying almost 20% more than you would for the actual asset. So that could be maybe a deal killer for some of you. So just keep that in mind. And if you do decide to buy the Bitcoin or Ethereum trust, the ticker symbols for that are GBTC and ETHE for Ethereum, okay? So that's the first option you've got. Now you've got some other options such as an ETF. Now don't confuse Grayscale for an ETF. It's a trust. An ETF is a exchange traded fund. Unfortunately, we don't have any of those right now in the United States. So we got to visit our sister country right up north of us, Canada, where all the nice people live. So in Canada, they have not one, but 3. As of this week, there'll be 3 ETFs. Meanwhile, we don't have any in the United States yet. We should have one in maybe 2021. But if you're looking to get into an ETF right now, there are 3 available. Let me give you some names. The first one to hit the scene was Purpose Bitcoin ETF. Their ticker symbol is BTCC.B. The next one that came out just right after that one was called Evolve Funds Group. Their ticker symbol is EBIT or EBIT. All right, and the third one that's coming out on the scene this week is named Galaxy Bitcoin. ETF, and their ticker symbol is BTCX. So you've got 3 to pick from, and that's a better solution for a lot of people because it's a lot cheaper. The fees are nowhere near as high as they are with the trust. And cost of ownership is obviously very important for a lot of people who have, a lot of money to invest, let's be honest. But there are some cons, and the cons are that it's traded on the OTC, the over-the-counter market. They're not a regular publicly traded company on the NASDAQ or anything like that. So the liquidity is a little bit difficult. It's a little bit more difficult. You can't trade this stuff after hours, and sometimes you may not have as many buyers for this stuff. But even though I think that these are going to be very popular ones, I don't think you have any issues whatsoever getting yourself buyers and getting this stuff sold if you ever want to sell out of it into something else. But just keep in mind, these are foreign traded companies on a Toronto exchange. So the market up there is not as, how would I say, active as ours. So just keep that in mind. That's one downside. And you're probably not going to be able to trade these on just any platform. With over-the-counter stocks, OTC, pink slips, or penny stocks as sometimes they're called, you're only going to be able to find these in some of the bigger platforms like a Fidelity, TD Ameritrade, or Vanguard. All right, so just keep that in mind. All right, so do we have any other options? And absolutely, these are some of my favorites. Next option we have is investing into stocks. Believe it or not, you can actually buy some stocks that are heavily weighted in Bitcoin, mostly Bitcoin, just Bitcoin. They didn't have anything else yet. I have a feeling that they're going to be breaking into Ethereum very soon, these very same companies. And the first company I have for you is MicroStrategy. There is a gentleman by the name of Michael Saylor who is a complete degenerate when it comes to buying Bitcoin. He's addicted. This guy buys Bitcoin left and right. Every time he gets some Bitcoin, he goes out there for the company. He takes out some debt against the Bitcoin, and then he buys more Bitcoin. But he's doing a great job. I'm just joking. He's a very smart guy. He's a billionaire, I think greatly due to the fact that he's bought so much Bitcoin. And let me just tell you some of the statistics that he's been able to accomplish. His company, MicroStrategy, is holding on to 91,064 Bitcoin as of the time of the recording of this video. That's insane, right? So how much money has he actually spent of the company that the company's on the hook for? Well, he's spent almost $2.2 billion at an average price of $24,119 per coin. He started buying Bitcoin in 2020 when Bitcoin was about $10,000. And most recently, he's been buying Bitcoin even at $52,000. And his last purchase of $10 million worth of Bitcoin was at $48,000. So, when people tell you to dollar cost average in, well, this guy is no exception. He's been buying all the way from $10,000, all the way up to where you see it now, and I guarantee you, he's not going to stop. He'll continue buying this as long as he keeps getting his hands on more money. He'll keep buying more Bitcoin. All right. This video is not to convince you to buy Bitcoin. This is just to tell you how to get your hands on some Bitcoin if you got your money tied up in a 401k or in an IRA. So how much is that worth now? All these Bitcoins that he's holding, the 91,000 Bitcoin, is roughly worth about $4.6 billion. So he's literally doubled the value of assets that he's been holding on to for his company. And what has that done for his stock price? Sorry for all the wind, guys. It's a windy day today. I probably couldn't have picked the worst day to make this video, but I hope the audio is okay. Now, what has it done for his company? Well, his company in the last 52 weeks, and you could have benefited from this if you were holding on to his company in the early stages, has gone from being a $90 stock to being about $1,315 per share. It has literally gone up in value more than Bitcoin has gone up in value. So that is pretty insane if you ask me. I would have liked to hold on to some of that stock, but unfortunately by the time it came across my observation, it was a little bit too late. I didn't want to buy the stock when it was peaking at $900, even though it's gone up to $1,300. I thought it was a little bit high, but hey, it seems to me like Michael Saylor has figured out how to create an Bitcoin ETF without actually being called a Bitcoin ETF, because his whole treasury is in Bitcoin. So people have literally dumped so much money into his company because of that. Well, let's talk about some of the reasons why I think this is got some pros and cons. Obviously, there's good and bad to everything. The pro is that this is a very easy buy. You can basically buy it and sell it just about anywhere. So any trading platform, you can buy it, sell it, very simple. Now, some of the cons are that this company has never been at $1,300 in the past. So to me, it's a company that's in price discovery, and we don't know if this is sustainable, especially if we do get some ETFs that hit the market in the United States pretty soon. And if that's the case, it may take some funding, it may take some, how would I say, it may take some of the light away from MicroStrategy, and it might go towards some of these ETFs. But you never know, there might be a huge appetite to get involved in Bitcoin whatsoever. And the other thing that I'm worried about is that I've never heard about who's number 2 at MicroStrategy. What if something happens to Michael Saylor and he's no longer around to basically keep the company going in the direction of investing into Bitcoin like he is? What if something happens to him, he passes away, he decides to retire? What happens to the future of the company? Does the new person in charge, do they continue to lead the front of buying so much Bitcoin? Or do they sell it off and they go back to being a regular technology company? Who knows, right? So that's one of the things that worries me a little bit about MicroStrategy, but you just never know. Next, I want to talk to you about some of the payment processing companies such as PayPal and Square. Now, both of these companies are big proponents of cryptocurrency. Both of them are owners of Bitcoin in their treasuries. They both are believers. They're not just talking about it, they're walking the walk. So I like that. PayPal allows for transactions in crypto, and so does Square. And the beauty of these two companies, guys, is that their CEOs are very forward-thinking people. So not only do I like the fact that they're involved in the Bitcoin processing, but they also hold it on their treasury, which is really great. But it's not going to stop there. The CEOs from these two companies, they own it personally. So I believe that as the technology evolves, they're also going to evolve too. So this is good, and I like this because, let me give you some of the pros and cons. I like this one because both of them have made literally billions of dollars on transaction fees from the sale of cryptocurrencies and the transactions of cryptocurrencies, aside from having the appreciation of the actual currency on their books. So this is a very good way to go about it, because you have a double-sided way of being profitable there. But some of the cons are that this will become a very big part of their business as far as earnings go. And if Bitcoin does take a big dip or does have a reversion or a bear market, the stock could fall. And if it does fall, obviously your holdings are going to fall. But if you're going to be dimey-handing it, then it doesn't matter, because it's going to be only temporary, because Bitcoin is a very cyclical type of asset that will have very high highs and very low lows. So maybe not this time around, but from what I'm hearing from all the experts, this time's no different. So just keep an eye out for that. The next one I want to talk to you about are the exchange stocks. So the stocks that actually sell you cryptocurrency. The newest one that a lot of people have been talking about is Coinbase. And I will be doing a full video on Coinbase. So if you don't know what Coinbase is, they're the second largest cryptocurrency exchange in the world. So make sure you turn on your notifications on this. If you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you do that right now. Give this video a big thumbs up. Let's see if we can get this to more than 20% likes, guys, for every view that I get. The reason why I want to talk to you about Coinbase is because they're going to be making a big news this year. Coinbase is going to be coming onto the stock market, not as an IPO, but as a direct listing. And we have another company by the name of Voyager, who has already been on the stock market, but they've been trading on first the Canadian stock market on Toronto Exchange, and now they also trade on the over-the-counter here in the United States. So you can get your hands on either or, but I will tell you that with Coinbase, they have a very strong business. They just recently released their S1, which is basically their outline, their profitability and things of that nature. And they've made $322 million, guys, in 2020. So this company is a beast. They're a revenue beast. Their overhead is not that much. But the problem is that their evaluation, I think, is going to be exorbitant. There's talks of it coming out at $100 billion as the company's value, guys. And I think that's a little rich for my blood. Even though I think that it's going to fly, it'll even be worth more than that once it hits the market, because there are so many people who are anticipating the release of this public offering. And once it is, only time's gonna tell. But I will tell you this, Voyager is already publicly traded, and a lot of people don't even know that. So if you get your hands on some Voyager, you may be in a better position, because when people feel that Coinbase is maybe a little bit too overpriced, more money is going to pump into Voyager, which Voyager right now, if you guys aren't familiar with, they're definitely profitable, just like Coinbase. You guys can look them up and see that they're making money. But what I like about them is that they are a lot less expensive when you're going to be buying cryptocurrency. So if you buy it on Coinbase or you buy it on Voyager, you're going to see a huge difference in price. The reason why is because Voyager acts more like a broker, and Coinbase is selling you crypto with a premium, and on top of that, they also have their fee that they charge you. So they're double ending you. They're getting you money on both sides. But the thing is that with Coinbase, that's usually the first place that most people go to. And then eventually they start to migrate into other exchanges, such as Voyager. I myself included started with Coinbase, but I found there's a lot of other solutions out there that are much better. So you may want to take a look at Voyager instead of Coinbase if you want to invest with your IRA or your 401k, because that could be a more profitable way for you to go. Now, pros, right? Let's talk about some of the pros here. The pros for Voyager obviously is that you're going to get more bang for your buck, but the con is that it's only on the OTC market. And remember, I talked to you about the OTC, not too much liquidity. Maybe you're not going to get as much attention on a stock as it would if it was on the NASDAQ, like Coinbase is going to be. But it is what it is. Let me tell you some pros and cons about Coinbase. Obviously, Coinbase is going to be very easy to buy, not available yet. It'll be very easy to buy on the NASDAQ, so you'll be able to buy that on pretty much any platform. Some of the cons is that, like I told you before, if you're willing to pay many multiples over what this company should be probably trading for, then it's all yours. You can have it. I don't think I'll be investing in it right away. I'm going to see how the chips settle. I'd rather be investing into Binance or one of these other ones that are just tokens for now, but we will see. All right. Now, the last one I'll talk to you about, I'm not going to spend too much time on this one because I don't think it's worth that much attention, are miners. If you want to invest into mining companies that mine for Bitcoin, well, there's two that are primarily the ones that people focus on, Marathon and Riot. And I'm going to tell you right now, pros is that they can outpace the price of Bitcoin. So you can make more on these mining companies than you can actually make on holding the Bitcoin. Some of the cons, and a big con, is that neither one of these companies are profitable. They're both bleeding money. And the reason why is because you've got sky high costs for electricity and overhead and running these facilities. And we know that if the Bitcoin drops in price, they're gonna obviously suffer too, because miners can only make the spread between their expenses and the actual value of Bitcoin. So these, I feel like I have there's too much risk involved with these. So I personally would not be looking at the miners that much unless you're gonna swing trade them, but we're not talking about that today. We're talking about how to invest your 401k. So with all the information I just shared with you, what is the right solution? What is the way that you should be going? Well, it all depends on your risk level, obviously. For myself, I will tell you this much. If I was in a position to take my 401k or IRA and put it into something, what I would do is I would split it up into a pie of 20% tranches, or split it up in 5 pieces, basically, I'm trying to tell you. 20% going into each of the categories that I spoke about in the beginning. A trust, an ETF. I would also pick MicroStrategy. I would definitely buy 20% of that. And I would also get the payment processors like PayPal and Square. And then I would spend 20% on the exchanges. Even Coinbase, believe it or not, I would use it for my IRA 401k, because if you do buy Coinbase and it's expensive today, well, by the time you're ready to cash out your 401ks and IRAs, it's gonna be 10, 20 years down the line. So I don't think $100 billion valuation will be much for that company at that point in time. So it all depends on your risk level, like I said, and if you believe in these companies. So do your own research. This is not financial advice, just telling you how to do it in case you are wondering how to take your 401k or IRA and put it on steroids by adding some cryptocurrency to it, which is very exciting if you guys are in a position to do that. And if you enjoyed our analysis, I do recommend that you guys take the opportunity to check out our investment group, which I'm going to leave a link to down below in the description section. You guys can learn so much about stock trading and about cryptocurrencies especially, and it costs less than $1 a day, guys. I think I would do that if I was in a position to learn, and if you guys are. So don't hesitate, check it out down below. If you guys are new to this channel, don't forget, give us a big like, share this with anyone who needs to hear it, and also subscribe if you're new around here, guys. Thank you for watching. I love you guys. I'll see you next time. And if you want to check out more information about us, check out one of the videos on the screen right now.